one of the things that you'll see out is like labels on that say non-toxic. There's a lot of greenwashing that happens. So like everyone thinks that Meyer's soap is like so clean and so good. That's the marketing. If you turn it around or you run it through EWG app, you can see that there are SLS in there. There is fragrance. Fragrance is all made in a lab. So everything that has fragrance has phthalates. It's not good for you. And then again, it stacks on your system over and over. So you have fragrance in your deodorant, and then you have it in your hair, and then you might have it in your makeup, and then you have it on your lipstick, and then you have a perfume, and you're just maxing your body out by using these things. So a very simple swap is cleaning supplies. And that is the thing that we see, I think, the most often in homes is that, again, it's, oh, I got these organic cotton sheets and I don't want any plastic in the kids' room, but you're using these horrible mass-produced products. And it's not that hard and expensive to switch. There are some resources that we can share with you of an easy switch, or just using vinegar and water like they did for years and years and years. You can actually make your own vinegar too, which is actually really cool process, especially if you have a 6-year-old little boy. But those things are huge, because it's not only, it's a stacking, it's an everyday thing. So
yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. You kind of like what you were talking about in the beginning, Axel, is like you can start small. Whatever's important to you, start changing that. Like you had said, I'm not going to use plastic. I'm going to use glass, or I'm going to change out my cooking utensils from plastic maybe to wood, or the microplastics in cutting boards. Okay, well, let's switch that over to something better. And so it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a giant overhaul. You can just start with what is the most important to you, and then kind of build over time and start that layering. Yeah. Axel, going back to your ways around the advice that you can give, and the steps that people can take, what else do you feel like we can do?
So I think, okay, cleaning agents, that's an easy swap. And then, let's see.
Tell us about laundry detergent.
What's that?
Tell us about laundry detergent.
Laundry detergent. So, like at one point, I think in college, I was using Tide Pods and using it as a dish detergent and in my laundry. And the Branch Basics line there's between Branch Basics and Dirty Labs. Those are my two, like, I'll just buy them on Amazon, frankly. And they're affordable, they're highly concentrated, so they last forever. And they clean my clothes without adding plastics. The problem with Tide Pods is who knows what's in the actual, like, inside the pod. But before you even get to that problem, it's just the plastic that's going all over the dishes or your clothes that you're wearing. Like I said, that there's two things, is like, it's what we breathe in our homes and what we eat and put in our bodies, or like the water that goes in. So if we're washing our dishes with Tide Pods or some kind of plastic thing we just throw in there, that plastic's going to go all over our utensils and our dishes. So that's an easy thing. There's just powders that go in, and their ingredients list is EWG approved. So that's a good switch. And then candles, that's another thing that has phthalates, soy and coconut based candles. Getting those switched, or getting things that are perfume or fragrance to soy and coconut, is a great swap. Making those switches from glass to glass and silicone from plastics in our containers. And let's see, what else?
Can we pause for a second? Can you go back and talk about fragrance with candles? I just I'm very sensitive to fragrances, and y'all will all laugh because you can know this feeling. Like when you get in an Uber or a Lyft and you're immediately assaulted with Axe body spray, and then you just want to vomit your entire trip. I have a huge problem with that. I was actually in Starbucks the other day. I walked in and I felt like I got punched in the face. I was immediately nauseous and I went to get some water that I added my minerals to. And I was like, what happened? Like, can y'all air out? And they're like, that guy left 5 minutes ago and it smelled so bad. And so again, if you're running like the Pura diffusers or you're running candles all the time, that stuff stacks up in your body. And fragrances, I feel like might be like the most well hidden toxin because it's in everything. And now we're just talking about it. But there was a documentary on Netflix about like, what's that smell? Do you remember that one? And
Oh,
then,
I've seen that.
yeah, and it's disgusting. But basically, a dad went and got jammies for his kids. They opened them up on Christmas morning or whatever, and it was just like an assault of smell. And it ended up like he was like, "What is here? What is in this like fire retardant on here?" And went down this whole rabbit hole. And those companies, they don't tell you what they're making in there. They're making it in a lab, and it's secret, and they're putting it in everything. And so that's another thing. You're breathing it in. It's living in your body. You're having to detox that. So all the respiratory problems that we're having on top of environmental pollution, but all of these fragrances that we put in, it's just totally taxing our bodies.
Yeah, I think that the cool thing that I'm realizing is, and I only realized this after I've made all of these switches in my home, is that I used to think going into a home, if it smelled like the Bath and Body Works section, that was clean. And now that I've taken these things out, I'm so acutely aware to the smells in my home, which is a good thing because when I buy flowers, I walk into my home and I can smell the flowers, like even if they're at the farthest corner of my house. And it's just a natural, it smells good. You know, we open up the windows and the doors and we have like the breeze coming through and it's a different clean. It's not the Bath and Body Works, but it's the farmers market flowers that we get. The phthalates are really interesting. They're called the slipperiest chemical in known chemical. The way they work is this is the nerdy part, Holly, is um, the phthalates are an adhesive petroleum uh, chemical that sticks to the smell. It's the phthalates aren't the smell. It's the like sticky tape or like the the glue that goes into the air, and then as it's kind of dissolving into the air and hitting the wall, it will stick to the wall with the phthalates. So it's staying there a lot longer than it would, which the problem with that is it's going in our bodies, and then our bodies have to take out that slippery chemical.
So it's like sticking inside of our lungs.
Exactly. And that's why, like, right.
Hmm.
So,
It's a scary thought.
so what kind of, if we want to burn candles, what candles do we get?
There is a brand called Kin that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I have a list somewhere that I can send over to you guys, but that's my go-to.
Yeah. The chemicals are, or the fragrances are a lot. I feel like whenever I go to, I don't know, a traditional, conventional grocery store, I'm just like immediate, like, and you go down like a soap aisle or something, you're just immediately, I call it salted because that's how I feel. And
The
it's
Home
like,
Depot section is the worst for me. It's the cleaning
yes,
agents in Home Depot.
it's awful. And I get sometimes you need the chemical to get the thing. Most of the time, there is a different alternative. And so, what I've run into with clients is that, you have a new baby and you go and buy Johnson and Johnson and it's the baby soft and they've marketed it to this is okay. And then the baby has eczema or the baby has cradle cap. And then you're already taxing their system. And there are lawsuits going down with a lot of these products that are marketed to children and teenagers because they're causing cancer, because they're making you sick, because they have chemicals in them. And so if you could just step back and, run some of these products into EWG, which is Environmental Working Group. We'll have Axel talk about that. There's easy things to see. And we don't want to overwhelm you. It can be a lot. If you want to go like full core, go throw all your shit away and start over, fine. Great. Good for you. But you don't have to do that. You can just start educating yourself, start reading the label. If you don't know an ingredient and you have a question, you can look it up. And then it will tell you this is, respiratory risk. This is fragrance risk, whatever. And the EWG is a great place for that. Axel, tell us about EWG and what kind of impact they have on the work you're doing.
So EWG is it's a nonprofit that was started maybe 40, 50 years ago, and they created standards, or they looked at all the standards that the EPA had, and then they came up with their own standards. So it's like a third party verification of what is healthy, regardless of what the FDA or the EPA, or there's other environmental health centers that have their own abbreviations, but they're their own. So EWG sets their standard, and they have a rating for, like, I haven't seen many products that they don't rate. So you're using EWG gives you the agency to look at a product and say, okay, is this something that I want to bring into my home? Nothing's perfect. I like to go with the 80-20 rule. What's a good example? Like, I used bleach recently, and I was like, this is a good, like, I don't use bleach every day, but like, I think this is a worthy thing of using the heavy duty ingredient, the highly concentrated bleach. So using EWGs just helps make a lot of decisions. I try to stay away from which product should I use. I try to just orient towards how is this system working? What's the fundamental principle that my home is operating under? Like, I think there's always going to be another product out there. I think products are changing too. Products get bought by other companies. So I just try to keep it simple, and I have lists of things that can help. If people want to go to my website, they can look at that for just like some basic guides. And yeah, EWG is already a great app to have on your phone.
We'll share that with you guys because it's awesome and it's free. And they also have a skin deep. So it talks about all the skincare, and they have sunscreen. Sunscreen is one of the most toxic things you can do and put on your body. Mm-hmm. And you put it on your kids, and you probably don't even know that it's bad. And mm-hmm. you actually need sun. You need vitamin D. It's called hormone D. The sun is actually, D is a hormone that you actually create in your body. So,
I wanted to plug my last thing is, one of the best things you can do is, if you do have a Teflon cookware or nonstick cookware, let's get you some carbon steel, let's get you some cast iron. And that's a really easy switch. The cast irons can be $20 to $30. Mm-hmm. And you want to use that interchangeably with the carbon steel pan if you can, which carbon steel can be another investment, say $100,
but you can swap out your pan. Like, if you're using a Teflon pan is a pan that has the black, usually it's a black coating, and it gets mm-hmm. scratched. That is toxic chemicals that is then going in your food. And if you're using a nylon or a plastic spatula and mm-hmm. it's melting, all of that is going in your body. You're not supposed to have those plastics in your body. So you can switch your everyday frying pan for under $100 and get some wooden spatulas, and that will make a huge difference. But non-toxic cookware has been a big thing the past couple of years. And I think one thing you have to look at is that most of these companies say, yeah, we're non-toxic, but you actually have to look at the science and the testing behind it, because unless it's a third-party test, you really don't know. Like, Caraway is a really big non-toxic brand, but we actually don't know what's in Caraway because It's trademarked to them. So that's when you can get in the nitty gritty. So going and getting, a cast iron pan is an easy bet. It's going to cook better. It's easy to clean, but please don't use dial soap on it to clean it. I just have to say that. I just want to say one thing about the soap and the cooking pan. So you get new pans and they're all non-toxic and they're not melting and they're cooking your food. And then you take the blue dial soap that's 99 cents at the store, and then you clean it with it. And we were talking about the dishes earlier. So my question is to everybody, I'm just going to say it and you can just feel it out. Why would you want to use a soap that cleans oil off of children or off of animals for your cookware? Does anyone else feel alarmed by that? Do you see that often?
What's the dial soap being used for? I don't get it.
Well, just the dial, they're all about their toxic-free cookware, and then they're using the most toxic chemical soap to clean the cookware. And Dial has been, it has been told to us and shown oh, this helps clean up oil spills and cleans the oil off the ducts and all the things. Why are you putting that in your body? It does not make any sense to me at all. So yes, change your pans, use glass, but get some good soap that doesn't have a bunch of toxins in them. My tangent for today. What else you got for us, Axel?
Especially for people in hot spaces like Texas right now, it's gonna be the middle of summer soon. Making sure those HVAC and filters in your HVAC are cleaned regularly could go a long way. If there's dust, if there's bacteria, molds, um, getting that serviced, just getting it look. I mean, you could probably open it up on your own and see. Otherwise, you're risking having all that circulate in your home. So that's kind of like a changing your oil type thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like a 2 times a year maintenance for your HVAC is huge, and it will also help the life of, so you're spending a little bit of money every, twice a year to do it, but then it's going to help the life of that equipment in your house, and then it's going to also keep your air clean. It's I don't know, it's like buying a good toothbrush. It's something that you use every day, or having a good pillow. It's something you use every day. So invest in that because it's investing in your health. But yeah, some of these old houses too. I was in a house the other day that hadn't been cleaned for 40 years, and it was just disgusting. And I wore a mask the whole time. And that's a whole other thing, but I'm I know there's mold in this corner and I don't want to breathe it. So those are the things that we come up with a lot. But I want to ask 2 more questions and then we can wrap because I know we're kind of over time. Axel, will you tell us what's happening in the area in Southern California with the protest and the work that you guys are doing with Twin Creek down there?
Yeah, so Creek Team in Orange County started maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and someone in our area took walks along the San Juan River, which goes into San Juan Capistrano and then Dana Point, and it's this area where we have trout swimming in Southern California there's only 100 and maybe 150 of them left. He noticed that all the vegetation on the side of the river walk was suddenly just dead. And it wasn't just the non-natives, it was also the native plants. So he immediately made the connection that somebody had sprayed this with a pesticide, and it probably was something like glyphosate, just given on how quick it was. And so he started posting flyers along the river saying, what are we going to do about this? And slowly but surely, 4 months later, this they've created an Instagram that's all about awareness and education of how these waterways they're not called creeks by the political municipal standpoint, they're called flood channels, and they're being managed just to kill everything in them. So just in 2025 alone, there was something like 200,000 gallons of pesticides, primarily glyphosate, sprayed in these creeks. There's been people sprayed in the creeks. There's been nesting, endangered nesting birds that have been like completely moved while they're brooding eggs. And I don't know what the effect is on the trout, but these chemicals are have like a really detrimental effect on something like the trout is endangered. And anyway, so what we're doing is we've gone to the county board of supervisors and gone all the way to the EPA. And a couple weeks ago, the county voted on something basically to not ban our whole agenda item. Working with one of the council members was or supervisors was to put a ban on the pesticides while and it was a temporary ban while looking at alternatives to manage this flood channel that we want to be called a creek. So, long story short, no one's being accountable. There's agencies that are oriented towards making sure that things are in compliance with management techniques and practices, but even they've, for the past 10 years, said this is out of compliance. And their job isn't to enforce it. They just say, yeah, we know it's out of compliance. That's it. That's their job. So then we go to the EPA. The EPA says, yeah, okay, we understand, but we're not the people to enforce it. So our question for the county is, and who is responsible? And there's so many agencies involved here, but the beautiful thing about this organization, we now have 24,000 followers on Instagram in just 4 months. People are up in arms about this, and we're not going to stop until something's done. There's counties in Los Angeles County and San Diego County manage their creeks. They celebrate the diversity in them, and they're it's the lifeblood of their county. So just the whole approach in Orange County is vastly different, and we're calling for change.
So tell me why it's so important to keep these pesticides out of our water for the folks who don't see how it's all connected.
I mean, there's so many reasons, but just I'll name two is drift. The pesticides can, when they're sprayed, they're being sprayed right now with like a hose, and by sometimes they'll go on both sides of the river and have like a big line that's kind of like in the grocery store when there's just like a spray on the of water on the produce. So it'll be like that on both sides of the river, and they spray everything in the river. So all of that on a windy day, or not even a windy day, but it can not just go in the river, but everywhere. Um, Two is those rivers go to our beaches, and in Dana Point, this is like that's where families go is the river mouth at Doheny Beach. So, if your kid is at the beach splashing around in this water, everything upstream from it, including that pesticide, is just concentrated in the water.
And then it gets in our water system, which is happening all the time. And that's why it's so important for groups like you guys to get out there and just make people aware and try to hold somebody accountable. Because this toxic chemicals and all of this environmental pollution is not going to go away. And so taking these small steps and how we can help our clients take small steps to make changes is going to help protect you and your family, because unfortunately the EPA, the government, nobody's taking accountability. A lot of people are pissed about it. A lot of people are talking about it, but it's going to take decades to make these changes and get things banned like they do in other countries. So I'm so glad that you told us about that, and I applaud you for being out there and doing the good fight to save the creek. That's crazy. I don't want my kid playing in Roundup. That's what less phosphate is, y'all. It's Roundup. And they say, no, it's not toxic. It doesn't cause cancer. But yet the statistics on the farmers that have been using it, I actually have a family member that owns a ranch, has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and has been spraying Roundup on his property for 30 years. So it all lines up, but this is why these things are happening in our environment. And so making those changes in your home is going to be really beneficial in the long run. So
I think it's the same thing with our home, managing our home or tending our home it's an awareness piece. I don't even think the politicians understand. They're just starting to get the awareness, and now it's educating. So we're partnering with them on what alternatives can be done, and then just implementing it. But a lot of these are effectively cheaper in the long run and healthier.
Yes. Cheaper and healthier. I like that. Scarlett, I'm super nerded out over here.
No. So you guys were fantastic. I was abnormally quiet during this episode because I felt like I was learning from the both of you guys. So for our viewers, I'm a little bit more new to the game of being a bit more aware and changing things out. So like maybe most of you, I'm right there with you. And so I felt like I needed to interview both of y'all. And I know Holly has been doing this a while and she's very passionate about it. And so you guys were totally nerding out. And I wish I had a pen that worked because I would have taken more notes.
Yeah.
So, but Axel, thank you so much for your time in this episode. And I definitely feel like we are going to, have you back and have more conversations and have more awareness on these subject matters. And I know we're going to like put your information and your website in like this description, but can you tell our listening viewers like basically where they can find your website and where they can listen to like a 30-minute deep dive of all of your resources?
Absolutely, yeah. So my website is just my name, Axel, Axel, Eaton, EATON.com. And then my Instagram is in flux, but right now you can find me at Axel Eaton 222. And that's kind of, I post some things on there, but between that and my website, I think that's a good place to start.
It's very memorable. You have like the coolest name. I'm a little jealous of your name.
Guns N' Roses fans are, they'll remember my name for a while.
Forever.
Yes.
What's your middle name?
Cameron, ACE.
Oh, cute.
Oh, okay.
I like it. Okay, so I want to do a rapid fire that we can use for a social post while we have you. But thank you for listening. I know this is a long episode. If you have questions and you need an expert, call Axel. We'll get you the info. I already have a couple clients lined up that are like, I need to talk to him. I'm like, yes, you do. Because there's a lot of information out there, but I think having a partner and someone that has the energy and passion behind it always makes, these kinds of changes better. So drop any questions you have and we'll get you guys in touch with Axel. And thanks for coming to the Honest Edit. We'll see you next time, y'all. Bye.